Okay, welcome to, I think it's episode 4. My son Bjorn, he's helping me film this. So I've had a few requests over the last few days. I want Where's My Happy Pants, which I've got on tonight, and to tell a story. So I'm going to do an Ari Vatanen story, and everybody loves an Ari Vatanen story. But before I get to that, I just want to apologise for my wife, for calling her the fun sheriff on the last episode, and it was the wrong thing to do because I wasn't allowed to come up to the workshop for the Easter. So, look, without my wife, she's brought up. We've got 4 kids. 2 of them aren't hers. She's brought up 4 fantastic human beings and done a fantastic job when I've broken my body and my mind and helped repair everything and run the team. And without her, I wouldn't be able to achieve the results that I did gallivanting around the world. So, sorry, I won't do it again. I'll try to be a better human being. Okay,
Yeah,
so
awesome.
now we're going to do the front end, but before that, I thought we'd do an Ari Vatanen story. So, okay, so what's got to happen is a lot of people know Ari Vatanen, but a lot of young people don't know Ari Vatanen. So, for the young people like my daughter and her friends, I'm going to explain who Ari Vatanen is. So, Ari Vatanen in the 70s was the first generation of professional rally drivers. Now, if you've seen Pikes Peak with the climb dance in the Peugeot, that's Ari Vatanen. If you think about any that rally drivers look at thought of that they're a bit crazy, and it's true. Probably the craziest motorsport besides swingers on sidecars and quad riders and motorbike riders. The rally driver, he's up there with the craziest dudes. Well, Ari Vatanen is the number one pole position craziest rally driver probably in the history, and he taught Colin McRae pretty much everything he knew about crashing. So I don't know what the crash totals are. Maybe when someone can look it up, but I know Ari's done maybe more than 30 rollovers in rallies. And anyway, if you don't know Ari Vatanen, you need to Google him. I don't know where he came from. I know he came from Finland, but I don't know how he just doesn't give a shit about his cars. But anyway, we had the joy. So now I've got to go back. Hang on a minute. I just need to do a little drink now because I've got to open the hard drive on the computer. We've got to go back a long time. So we've got to go right back to 1980. 1980, it's 40 years. I was 22 in 1980. And we're getting ready to do the Southern Cross Rally. And it's the Ford Rally team. It's different to obviously the Ford Borum in England. We've had a Borum car. The team's built 2 more new cars. We've run Bjorn Walliard. There's about a core of 6 or 7 dudes, and we've got a fair bit of match practice. We've been running with Greg Carr in the ARC, and there's been a lot of around Australia rallies. We've had Waldegaard in the cross the year before. So this year in the 1980 Southern Cross Rally. So those who don't know what the Southern Cross Rally is, it was a 4 or 5 day rally and about 2,600, 2,700 kilometres, and approximately half of that in competitive, which is about 1,200 miles, stage miles, which is probably a little bit past what a BDA engine's built to do. So we had been, I'm a young bloke, so I've been coming to the team, and we've got a bunch of other dudes helping us from Touring Car Masterton team. We've got a few of their crew. So there's a hodgepodge of team to look after Ari Vatanen and Greg Carr for the 1980 Southern Cross. So early that year, we'd watch Ari racing against Greg Carr down at Canberra. He was driving for the New Zealand Nasport team. And he had a ding-dong battle with Greg, and he rolled it, which is very unusual for him. and Greg ended up winning. And so, for whatever reason, Ford Australia and Rothmans got together to get Ari to come out to do the Southern Cross. So we're pretty excited. We got Ari. We've built him a left-hand. We've got one of our cars and converted it to left-hand drive. It's got a new engine, everything's been given the massage for the event. So our sort of knowledge of Ari was probably got to go back to 1977 Heatway Rally. And if you actually read the magazine of the 1977 Heatway Rally, on the first page, it's got Ari Vatanen in a brand new car, beautiful sideways around the corner. And if you get to the back page of the magazine, here's his car after the rally, and there is not one panel on the car straight. The back tail lights are in where the back window is. It is bent and crooked. He went off the road that many times. He lost an hour, 2 hours, crashing, banging. He was up against the 3 work Fiat drivers. He passed all of them in 160k stage, but he lost the rally by 1 minute and 15 seconds. So if he hadn't crashed so much, he would have easily won the rally. So he's coming to the Southern Cross. So we're all pretty excited. And then we're all beavering away in the workshop, packing the transit vans and the panel air, all the service vehicles, and getting ready for this 5-day endurance rally, a proper rally, not like the honky shit they do nowadays. This is a proper go from morning right through the night till the next morning, get a few hours sleep, bash the cars back into shape in an hour, and then out again. Stages, I think one stage on one of the nights was 240k stage with a refuel. We didn't need to refuel because the BDA had a big tank in it, could just make it, and we used to put these battery case Dunlop tyres on that would actually survive the whole 240k stage. So anyway, so we get to the rally the night before. Ari arrived, or the day before, and the navigator, Dave Richards, was his navigator, and he comes in. I told you the story in the last episode. We had to move his seat back. We had to make all the frame. We had to make a new floor so he could get as far away from the accident as possible, which was a good decision on his behalf. So we start the rally. So we've got, okay, so Ford have paid for him to come out. Rothmans have kicked the tin. It's the year before he becomes a world champion, sponsored by Rothmans. So the rally starts off pretty well. We're going pretty damn good. I think we had some problem with the alter. We're up against, let's go back a little bit. We're up against 3 fully factory prepared Japanese Datsun teams. So they're a very strong stanza, very strong team, lots of Japanese mechanics, engineers, heaps of money thrown at it. So we get to the end of the first night, and I think Ari's been leading occasionally, but then he'd have a problem. One of the long stages, I think it was the first night now, it's a long time ago. Hang on, let me see if I can remember a bit more. The alternators were made by Lucas, and they kept giving up, especially on the long stages with all the spotlights going. And you know why Pommies, there's a saying, why Pommies drink warm beer? Because Lucas made all the fridges. So the alternator, it was rubber mounted, had all the shit, but it just kept shit. They kept grenading and we'd be firing new alternators. Anyway, he drove the whole big long stage with just on the battery and low beam and all that sort of shit. So he had a bit of a drama, but then the end of the last stage of the night, he's driving like Ari normally drives, and he comes into the end of the stage, and not far from the end of the stage, he's hit something pretty hard, a stump or something on the inside of the corner, and the whole left-hand suspension's totally destroyed. I think it was just hanging on. The sway bar's broken. I think the arm, I think the tie rod end was the only thing holding the whole thing on. So we had a chase car, which was driven by the famous John Gray, who incidentally made my diff housing. So 40 years later, we're still good mates. But anyway, he's told Dave Richards, you follow me. He got on the radio. We're going into the Ford dealer. The boys are already there. They've got a new front end. We're going to bang a whole new front end in. So we're already got the cross members and the racks and the sway bars. So off they go. So as they come into Port Macquarie and they come through the town, Ari and David just turned off, and John's arrived at the Ford dealer and he can't find where they are. They're not answering the radio. They've driven to the motel. They're getting ready to retire. They want to go home because he's gone to go home because he's got national service and he didn't want to really be in the rally. So the wheel's off. So we get round to so it's all this drama trying to find them. So eventually Johnny's found them and we go around there and there's all hell's broken loose. So John Gray's up, Dave Richard, you stupid pommy bastard, you can't navigate for shit, and why'd you do this and why'd you do that? Anyway, there was a bit, I had to calm down, and I mean, this car is fairly totaled in the front. So we've just got everything ready because there's a parc ferme, and the next day we got 1 hour to change everything. So everything calmed down, and the next morning we got up, we're down on the beach there, and we had everything. Had a new cross member, new rack, new thing there. We got new arms, the whole new front end ready to go in an hour. So away we go. We all got a job. We're banging it in, putting new bits in, and I think we had a couple of blokes had a big par with a chain, and we had to hold the engine up while we quickly changed the cross member, put the rack in. Anyway, we've got the car going again. He's back in the rally. She needs a bit of panel beam. There's all the quarter panels are already bent, so we go to start the next day. So we're going through, and then the next day we're going, and then in the end, there was at least two groups of service crews, and we'd leapfrog point because we're looking after 2 cars. And in the end, every service point when Ari came in, we'd all start shaking. And what the hell's he busted now? So we'd all get a job. Okay, your job is to do the fuel because you've only got 10 minutes. Your fuel, your back tyres. I'm doing the front end, and Keith, you've got the sledgehammer to start hitting everything out. Because they'd be in on the dry sump tank, the taillights would be missing, the bumper would be gone. And virtually every service point, it ended up being like that. New steering arms. So after the second day, Colin goes up to Ari and says, mate, you need to slow down a little bit because we were going to run out of spare parts, and the boys are getting a bit knackered because they haven't had any sleep. And you burn them. Yes, Colin, I will slow down today. Anyway, so 2 stages later, off goes the right-hand front wheel again. Everything bent and rooted and shit, and a lot of swearing. And when we've got to put another front end back in the thing, and he's lost more time. I think he had hit everything except the lead, but he was there for a little bit sometimes. But then he'd go off the road. So the other good thing they had back then, they used to have a winch in the car for when they went off the road. But for that rally, Dave Richards had wrapped a bottle of scotch in a towel, and it sat behind the navigator because we're talking quite remote country, and it might be all night before. If they get crash or break down, it's going to be a long time before we get to them. So they had a bottle of whiskey in that car. Some other mates of mine, actually the bloke that navigates for me now, he was at this spectator point, and they could hear Ari coming, and he's coming, and he's pulling 10 grand on their PDA, and he's whizzing, middle of the night, you can hear him coming for like 15 or 20 minutes, the best sound in the world. And the next day, come up to this corner, the next one, he just went dead quiet, and he went off the side of the mountain, down into the rainforest, down through all the ferns and over the logs and shit, and disappeared down there. So they've gone, holy shit. So they go down to give him a hand, and they actually can't even stand up. The road, the side of the hill's that steep, and all the lights are out. So Dave said to Ari, will we get the bottle of scotch out? Because I think we're going to be here. No, I'll give it one try. Anyway, the boys are halfway down to try and help him get without the side of the hill. The next thing is she's fired up, and they reckon it sounded like an aircraft taken off, and he's pulled 10 grand and turned around and pinned it, and he's coming back through the rainforest, through the foliage, over the stumps, over the logs, back up the road, and into the back to the end of the stage. So we're sitting in the service point, and Johnny Gray's got on the radio. He's done it again. It's all fucked. Out into the service van, out all new arms and shit. And Anyway, this went on for the whole goddamn rally pretty much. And then when he stopped doing it, the other driver started crashing. We lost the rally by, I think, 3 minutes or something to Ross Duncan and the Datsun. I think Ari come third, and every panel was destroyed except the left-hand front guard in front of him. Everything else around the car was pretty well. Didn't roll it, which was a bonus. And then he said to Colin, "Oh, maybe if I go a little bit slower, I could have won." No shit, Sherlock. All you have to do is slow down a little bit. None of that shit wouldn't happen. Anyway, so that's the story about the Ari Vatanen. And anyway, I went to service with him years later. That's another story. How long have we done now, Bjorny?
Just about to tick over 16 minutes.
Ooh, is that too long for Facebook?
No, it'll probably work.
Okay, that's an Ari story. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit hard to do. I haven't done that story for maybe 20 or 30 years, and I can't remember everything, but
yeah.
Hopefully you got an impression of what it was like. He used to shake when he used to come into the service point because he'd just smashing shit. Anyway, so let's go over here now to the front end. The bits that he kept breaking in. So this front end is all a Group 4 fabrication front end from Ireland. So I bought this probably maybe 10 years ago. I've only been driving the car for a few years. Very good front end. I'm running a tension bar. The original Escort runs a sway bar, big thick sway bar and rubber bushes and everything. And that's okay, but the problem is when you start really pushing hard, all that sway bar and the rubber bushes all start flexing. So I run a sway bar. This car's set up for gravel. I only do a little bit of tarmac. So this is all gravel spec. So we're running 13-inch wheels. It's a lot different to Frank Kelly's front end. This is just a normal World Cup type cross member with a big heavy duty rack with a big thick shafts. I've extended, because I've pushed the wheelbase out with the strut tops and everything, I've adjusted it out. So this is that's a pretty standard setup. I like the tension rod setup because the problem with the compression rod setup that goes back here, as the suspension goes up, it actually pulls the caster off. Whereas this setup here, it actually pulls more caster. So I'm running, just come around there a bit. I'm running, as you can see, a lot of car. I'm running about 7 degrees caster. I've got to run power steering with that because you can't steer it with 7 degrees caster. So the reason I run 7 degrees caster, it makes a lot better for camber change on turns. So, but to do that, I've had to cut the front apron and a bit of the guard out to make the wheel work. I'll run about 1.5 degrees neg on degree and a half on dirt. But the main thing when you're setting the front end up is getting the position of the lower arm. So at ride height, when the suspension goes into bump, I'm actually pulling more neg camber on, and as it goes into droop, I'm actually pulling positive camber on, so that the wheel actually goes through an arc like that. So that's the best way to get the most grip, and it's a matter of just balancing out where these points are on the cross member and the arm at ride height. So when I go to do a bit of tarmac, I just lower the spring platforms to get it down. It's a bit soft because it's only got 175-pound springs in it. It wallows around a bit, but I don't care. I just want to go sideways. So I'm running the AP brake kit and about a 270 disc. That's an AP disc. They're due to be replaced. I don't run those big wheel studs that Group 4 cars run. I like the standard ones. They're lighter. They're cheaper to replace, but I locate the wheel on this ring that I actually got specially made. The wheels actually lock onto that ring and the wheel nuts just keep it tight. So quick rack. I mean, as I said, Frank's back front end's really nice, especially if you're putting an S2000 in, because everything's back here and the sump needs to be here on the S2000. So if you're fitting a Honda engine, maybe look at Frank's with the rack behind. They tend to get on really rough roads here in Australia. The rack gets a lot more work when it's behind the wheel. It doesn't like to be in compression. It likes the tension in the front. So they just runs a normal World Cup Bilstein. As I said, alloy hubs from Group 4. And as one of the Irishmen told me, it was good enough for Ari Vatanen. It's good enough for me. It's not a bad setup. It's good valving. The car's quite light on the front end, and I mean, I could do with a little bit more bump, I reckon, but it's not bad for the dollars and ease of setting up. It's not a bad setup. So maybe that's pretty much the front end. So have a good night, and hope everybody enjoys the story and soldering on through this bloody lockdown. I mean, I didn't do anything in the workshop all weekend. I was a good boy. And anyway, have a good night, and hopefully we can have a beer sometime together. Cheers.